Hello, Sarah here. I'm here to have another conversation for the sake of ourselves. So today's conversation I want to have with you is the conversation around habits. Ideally healthy habits or habits that are supportive and nourishing and help grow and tend you. So inside this idea of having a really great, sacred, reverent relationship with yourself and all the layers of yourself, one of the very first things that comes up is, how do I treat myself? How do I care for myself? How do I tend the environment that I am? And in today's age, there's, a lot of accessible information with a lot of schools of thoughts and different genres of health and holistic practices that you can take all the layers of yourself on. And I'm not here to talk about one right way, because it's not even about a right way or the right thing to do. It's really about your relationship with yourself and the habits that are supportive and conducive for nourishing and nurturing yourself. So a really great place to just start, if you don't know by now, I like to start often by taking stock or taking a look at what the current status is. Like, what is your current relationship with the habits in your life? What kind of habits do you have? I don't necessarily like to label habits good, bad, or judge them per se, but inside of taking stock, it's really great to take stock and just say, what kind of habits do you have? And are they supportive to you? And not even like it's a problem if some of them, we are really human and we have a wide range of ways we utilize our day-to-day life and different ways we either cope or get through or enjoy, or different ways of living we've even been taught and brought up inside. So this isn't about a right way. This isn't about a judgment and there should be some pure or clean way to do anything. This is just taking a look at, what is your personal relationship with your habits and your care and how you tend yourself? I know for myself, for many years, part of it I think is, I was a mom. Like, I think as a woman and a mom in our society, often we can be taking care of the things around us and not necessarily ourselves or include ourselves. Also, I was brought up in a certain environment where there was some chaotic elements to it. And so self-care there wasn't even a settledness necessarily to bring a self-oriented care part to my day-to-day. So I never grew up learning certain kinds of ways to take care of myself, tend myself, and nourish myself. So it's not a problem, wherever you are, there you are. This isn't about some righteous way about being, really great at taking care of yourself or making any of this limiting for yourself. But just take stock. Take stock. How are you with the habits in your life? How are you with taking care of yourself? Do you take care of yourself? Do you tend yourself? Do you take care of your physical body that you are? Do you take care of your mental body that you are? Do you take care of your emotional body that you are? Do you take care of your being body that you are, your spirit body that you are? Do you take care of the conscious creator that you are? And do you put time, energy, and effort on a relatively daily or consistent or reliable way to nourish and nurture yourself, where you have a conscious thought of caring and tending yourself? These are just really great questions. Is there any kinds of behaviors, habits, or patterns that you currently have or participate in that aren't overly caring for yourself or even damaging to yourself or sabotaging to yourself? Is there anything that, causes you harm that you're doing, or anything you don't feel that you have really a say or control in, that it has you don't have it? Are there any certain addictions you have? And when I talk about addictions, I'm not just talking about the big things that we talk about addictions, like, drugs and alcohol, but those are good to look at. Are you addicted to any kind of drugs or alcohol? Are you addicted to food? Are you addicted to media? Are you addicted to information or to knowledge? Is there any addictive tendencies that you have? Is there any bypassing that happens, generally speaking? Is there any avoidance tendencies or anxious tendencies? It's just really good to just kind of take stock in a way of, how do I relate with myself? How do I take care of myself? What is my current status and relationship with myself of how I take care, nourish, and nurture. And I don't want to scare anyone off. Like, again, they're like, taking stock is just taking stock. I'm not even asking you to do a big upheaval. This is actually just a real gentle approach to taking a look for the sake of yourself and for the sake of ourselves as a collective of, how do you operate currently taking care of yourself? Do you include yourself? Do you include your body needs, your mind needs, your emotional needs, your being needs, and ontological needs, and your conscious creator needs? Do you include that? Do you take stock of it? Do you bring well-being to it? Now, once you take stock, and again, you don't have to do this publicly or with anybody. You can do this as a very personal conversation with yourself, or you can do it with a friend or a family member, because it's really great, in my opinion, to create some partnership with the things we take on to support ourselves. So it's like, we don't have to go at any of this alone. You can create all kinds of partnerships in your life with the people around you to take on health and well-being. And I really do recommend it. But this conversation today is mostly about just the idea of what kind of relationship do you have with taking care of yourself? And once we take stock of that, then the next question is, and what kind of relationship do you want to have with yourself? And how do you want to take care of yourself? Do you want to feel healthy in your body? Do you want to feel healthy in your mind? Do you want to feel healthy in your emotional response system? Do you want to feel healthy in your being and spirit system? Do you want to feel healthy as a conscious creator in your life? So, there's the current status of where you are. And then there's just a real honest asking of yourself, like, do you want to feel good in your body? What would feeling good in your body feel like? Would it be worthwhile to you? Is there currently any impacts of not feeling good in your body? What would be the impact of feeling good in your body? You can take that to your mind, Would you want to feel good in your mind and in your thinking system? Do you want to feel stable and grounded? Would that be worthwhile? What would be, is there any impact in how it is right now? Is there any impact of not feeling good in your mind? Is there any impact that would be available with feeling good in your mind? What would be available to you? Would you like to feel good in your emotional response system, to be able to be with your emotions and work with them and move through them? Would you like to feel and express in healthy ways? Would that be worthwhile? Would that feel great for you? Would that be of service and supportive of you? Is there a current impact of the way it is now? Would there be an impact if that was nurtured and nourished? Is that something you want to take on or expand? Again, none of this, when we even take on the health and well-being of any of these layers, doesn't mean we need to be perfect and do it all right. It's about just bringing kind of your mind's eye and conscious awareness, bringing understanding and responsiveness to these layers of ourselves so that we're cultivating nourishing healthy spaces for the most part. We're going to get into that and how it doesn't have to be perfect. What about your being system? Do you want to feel like you have access to a say in your being? Do you want to be able to be expressive in your being and, in spirit? Would you like the spirit of you to be alive and well? Is it currently? Is there any impact of that not being alive and well for you? Impact in your life or how you're with people or what's available to you or the capacity of what you get up to? What about in this conscious creator that you are? Is that alive and well? Is it tended? Is it understood? Is it, are you empowered and free? Are you the creator of your life? Do you feel that you really have some grounding and gumption with being the creator of your life? Is there any kind of impact currently where disempowerment is and where disempowerment might be winning the day? Is there any kind of impact on what's available to you? Is there any kind of impact where an empowered place might have? Like, how would you love this to be? So taking stock of how things currently are, what kind of impact that might have. And again, none of this is like a problem and there should be any shame or embarrassment around it. And unfortunately, I get that's way easier said than done, because a lot of us have a lot of shame and embarrassment, or I don't even know the right word, but something in the way of us being with our current status, because to be with it means something about ourselves. To be with it says something about ourselves. So sometimes we would rather avoid being with how it actually is, so we don't have to look at it, or so we don't have to tend it, because if we do, then the level of attention or shame or guilt or embarrassment that might go along with that, no thank you, no thank you, no thank you. And I don't want you to have that. With everything I'm saying or inviting you into is not meant to bring any form of guilt, embarrassment, or shame. It's just, hi, here you are. Whatever has happened in your life up until this point has brought you here. A lot of that's in the society we live in, the environment you grew up in, the parents you had, the siblings, the friends, so much of your past and history, what you've learned, what you didn't learn, the habits that you've had, the habits that you didn't have. There's so many reasons why here you are with the experience you have and with the experience you are. And again, nothing's wrong with any of it. That's just your current status. Like, it's just a status update. And it's just like, our car and our vehicles, it's nice to know the status of it so that we can know how to take care of it, what it might need, and what might even be taking priority inside of how we take care of it and tend it. So that's all we're doing when we take stock of these layers and take stock of our habits and take stock of how we actually care for ourselves and show up for ourselves. So that is the intention here, is for just as a status update with no guilt, shame, judgment, criticism, devaluing, or make any meaning about yourself around it. Just here's the status. Here is how it currently is based on how it's currently been. All right, here I am, and here I am. And now, how would I love it to be? What would a healthy, nourishing relationship with all these layers of myself look like? What would a healthy, nourishing relationship with my physiology and my physical body look like? What would it look to bring health and well-being into my physical body? You might already really take a lot of great care of yourself and be a really healthy person that takes, your time, energy, and effort invested into your health and well-being. And high five. That's awesome. Not all of us, were taught those kind of life skills, and not all of us were taught what it takes. And some of us have different things, different conversations, different beliefs, different limits, different traumas or experiences that are in the way from us relating to ourselves in that way. And again, it's not a problem. It's just, let's work with ourselves. Let's meet ourselves right where we are, because here we are, meet ourselves right where we are, and work with ourselves to build and establish new healthy ways to interact with ourselves, new nourishing and nurturing ways to tend and care for our physical body in an expanded, growing way. And same with our mind and our emotional response system and our spirit system and our conscious creator that we are. We can take a look at each of these layers and be, how would I love that relationship with that layer to be? How would I love to nurture, tend, take care of, nourish that part of me? And the thing, again, with the amount of information that we have available to us, there is, I really hesitate to say there's any one right way. Now, there are some very common sense things that we know, like with our physical body. It's pretty common sense, eating some healthy, nourishing foods is going to be supportive and helpful to keep this meat sack of a body going. Getting enough rest is going to be important. Getting fresh air, sunlight, nature in is going to be very important. Hydrating yourself with fresh, clean water is going to be important. So there's certain things that we know that is important of how we can take care of our physical body. And so, do that, do any of those things, do the things that you know to do. And yeah, there's another part of the conversation I want to get to shortly, but before I go there, I don't want to go too off track, but just, think of just the basics, just come back to the basics. And it doesn't all have to be perfect. If you're somebody who is inspired to really take on a certain style of eating, a certain side, I guess that's the other thing that's important for your body is movement and exercise. We know movement and exercise is really good for our physical body. So, take on how you see to take on, but the idea that you're taking on to elevate in an expanded way from where you are right now, nourishing food, moving your body, rest and replenishment, fresh air, nature, sunlight, water, hydration, like take on an expanded level of that from right now. None of them have to be the perfect and right way. And now then when we come to our mind, there are so many different things that we can do to tend and nourish our mind. We've talked already a little bit about some mindfulness practices. Do you tend any mindfulness practices so that your mind and thinking system can kind of have some peace, to build some peace or some pause into the usually ongoing, ever-going brain that we have? Do you have some mindfulness practices? Do you bring in nourishing, learning information for yourself, things that are engaging and stimulating for your mind? Do you, put in good practices for your mind and your thinking? And there's all kinds of things you can go into again for there, but, different contexts. Do you develop context that you come from so that you can be the creator of your context for all of the thinking and processing and intaking and outputting of information that happens? You get to do the work or the exercise of tending your mind, your thinking system, and your context that you are. And when you come to your emotions, do you invest in healthy, nourishing, emotional regulation exercises to learn and to grow from that? A lot of us did not learn this in childhood and even in adulthood and where we are. So, these might be brand new conversations of how do I take care of my emotional response system? How do I take care of my nervous system? How do I take care of this layer of myself? And there's a lot of, again, good information. You can go research and find different ways that you'd like to. There's no right way, just the idea that you are saying that taking care of this area of yourself to bring nourishing and nurture to it, supportiveness to it, so it's being tended and cared for so it can be brought to healthy. That's the part that's important, because through that lens of saying this is important, health, this layer being healthy is important, it's going to have you be looking for the healthy choices within it. So it's not that you have to know all the right healthy choices for it. It's just that you are caring to tend these layers and bring healthy choices to it and learn and grow into healthy choices to it. It's not like you have to do an overnight switch and, okay, now it's just entirely health and here we go, and must do everything we can. You likely will burn out from that method. We're looking for longevity and sustainability and growing your relationship with taking care of yourself. So it can be a lifetime commitment of nourishment and a lifetime value of a nourished body being and state of mind. As we take stock of these areas of just, how is it currently going? How am I currently treating this area or layer of myself? What are my healthy habits that I have already happening with this area of myself? What are the maybe not so healthy or not supportive habits, behaviors, or patterns that I have in this area? Because it is important to notice and identify. I'm not asking you right now to even do anything about the, not supportive things that you might be currently doing in that area, because I'm of the belief that if we actually put in the healthy habits, a lot of the unhealthy habits start to fall away. And as we feel better and better, or just feel really good in that layer of ourselves, we tend to it grows our motivation. It grows our motivation to keep tending. It's like, it really amplifies itself. The more we tend a certain area of ourselves, like our physical body, the more we take care of our physical body and the more capacity we have to feel good in our physical body, the choices become easier and easier and easier to make. It's actually like not feeling good in your body gets louder and louder and louder. And some of the maybe not supportive or not healthy choices that we've been making that don't feel good in our body, we start to let go of, we start to release or do less of. And we really get motivated to do the things that feel good in our bodies and have our bodies feeling like energized and vital and alive, or, free from pain or discomfort, or more stability inside of it, or strength, it tends to pull us forward into making those kind of healthy choices. So as we take stock of each of these layers of ourself, and what our current relationship with that layer is, and what kind of supportive habits we have, or what kind of unsupportive habits we have, we're just noticing and taking a look. We also start to look at, like, what's the impact? Like, is there an impact that status of health on that layer has on myself, my being, and what's available to me in my life? And as you start to notice this, okay, would it be worthwhile to tend this layer? Would it be worthwhile to invest my time, energy, and effort to bring health and well-being to this layer? Like, what would that make available? Like, going through and asking yourself, for each of those layers too, what would a real expanded health and well-being make available in my physical health? What would it make available in my mental health? What would it make available in my emotional health? What would it make available in my being health and my conscious creator health? What would become available in my life? How would I know myself? How would I feel about myself? What would be my day-to-day experience of myself? And as we go through this, I'm really of the belief that baby step and bite size is sustainable. Like, there you are, start where you are, meet yourself where you are, work with yourself. This is about lifestyle changes. This is about an entire new relationship with that area of yourself. This isn't meant to force yourself or push yourself or demand yourself to be something or get somewhere. This is really taking on a loving and supportive relationship with that area of yourself, and to ask yourself the questions: what would be supportive to myself and this area of life? What would meet myself right where I am in this area of life? An example, like an easy example with physiology in our physical body, like there might be certain foods that you eat that currently aren't overly supportive. They might, not be the best for your health and well-being. And to restrict and take those foods out might not necessarily be supportive to you right now, because you might react against that, fight against that. It might take a lot of your energy, time, and effort just to make that happen, depending on how demand avoidant you are. Hands up, I can be very demand avoidant. If I go to a limitation or restriction, I'm not going to be set up powerfully to be successful. So what generally is helpful is, okay, instead of taking out the, not good for us food, or the, something you've deemed not supportive, adding the things in that are supportive, like adding, okay, what would be really supportive? Like, what would be really nourishing for me? Or, what would be something to play with and try on, and to add in, and to bring consistency and reliability and some self-discipline with, to just bring in the remembering and conscious effort to actively nourish myself. What would it look like to actively nourish myself? And so by putting then in foods that are, that you can still taste really great, they can still have really great texture, they can still be very interesting, but they're nourishing, and you can be filling yourself with the nourishing food. Still, that, food that you might want to restrict, not saying that it has to be fully restricted, but the more you actually start noticing the feeling good in your body from the nourishing food, you might start noticing the contrast of that, less supportive food, of how it actually feels in your body. And you might start eating less and less of it and having more and more of the nourishing food. And it can be a real natural phenomenon as you invest in putting in health and well-being. Things that are not healthy and supportive to your well-being might just lessen and lessen and lessen. At some point, you might need to bring some different self-discipline techniques or tools. But again, meet yourself where you are. What would be supportive to work with yourself? Often, all the habits that we have, whether they're, even the unsupportive habits that we have, usually came from somewhere and serve some form of purpose. So meeting ourselves where we are and taking a look at, what is this current, less supportive choice giving me? That's interesting. Let me notice that. Is there a way I could work with myself to lessen that, or to support myself in releasing that, or letting go of that habit? But I do find the value, especially up front when taking on our health and well-being, is really looking at how can we add in what's supportive and nourishing versus focusing on what do I need to take out? It's like, what can I add in that would be supportive or nourishing? How can I add in some more movement and physical strength, or, outdoor fresh air or hydration? Or how can I add in some playful movement and activities and things that I enjoy? Finding things that you actually enjoy, finding things that you actually like, finding things that you're actually interested in and putting them in is a real way to work with yourself and for yourself and to build in healthy habits. And the more we kind of meet ourselves where we are and do things that we enjoy and that we like and that would be playful or fun or lighthearted, the more chance to success I find bringing health and well-being is. It doesn't occur as like a task and a chore and something that we have to fight against. Like, let's work with us and bring things in we enjoy, bring things in we like, that's nourishing, supportive, and healthy for each of these layers. So that's one of the big things I really focus on with habits and building habits with myself, especially, and with clients and with, my family members. It's taking a look at what can we bring in that you would really like? What can we bring in that really you see will bring value? What can we bring in that you will find really supportive? And how can we bring it in a way that's easy for you? Like, is it good to stack it with something you're already doing? Like, if you're bringing in some exercise, is it good to stack it at a time and place that really works for your schedule? Is it like good to do the pre-work ahead of time to look at when would be most conducive to have you follow through with that? When's going to be your time that you're going to mostly enjoy that? If you're just in the end of your day trying to force yourself to make sure to do some exercise, you're going to resist it. You're going to push away from it. It's not actually overly supportive of yourself and having your back to enjoy the process. I think my high suggestion is to add an enjoyment factor in here. Add a way that works for you. Add your healthy habit in a way that is supportive and conducive for following through, and make it easy for yourself. Get a little creative in a way, and, maybe doing an activity with a friend or having, somebody to do it together with can bring some fun and play in it. And if you can bring fun and play and enjoyment, there's a way better chance that that healthy habit is going to get implemented and fulfilled on. So yeah, that was a lot, and, a little bit across the board, and I have more to say on it. But I guess the biggest factors are: take stock of these areas of your relationship and how it goes and how it is and what your current status is. Take a look at any of the impacts that exist in that area of your health and well-being and your relationship with that layer of yourself. Take a look at your current habits, healthy and unhealthy, or supportive and not necessarily supportive habits that you might have of that area of life. Meet yourself right where you are. What would make a difference? What would I love to do? How would I love this to be? How would I love it to go? What would be a way to really have my back to have this happen? And then take bite-sized baby steps. Like, look at this is a marathon and not a sprint. This is a lifestyle. This is looking into a lifelong relationship with this area of yourself. This isn't out to get some fast result or get some big outcome or have some immediate altering change. No, this is about building and walking and baby stepping and bite-sized piecing of establishing a foundation for your relationship with that area of your health and well-being. So, really look at it as like it's a lifetime goal. So here I am over 20 years, I'm really investing into my health and well-being across these layers. What can I work on right now? What's one thing I can work on right now? What's one thing I can add in right now? What's something I can invest in right now that's really going to be supportive for years to come if I keep taking that on and if I do want to keep taking it on for a long period of time, like the rest of my lifetime, what's going to be a way that I'm going to enjoy it? What's going to be a way that I'm going to like to bring that in? What's going to be a way that I am going to be able to sustain that and have longevity to it? So these are questions to ask yourself about your health and well-being, and this idea of building and establishing healthy habits and new ways to interact with yourself and new stimulating fun ways that you can bring in health and well-being across the layers of yourself. And a lot of the fun is learning new ways and trying different ways and being playful with it, talking about it, asking your friends about it, doing some research about it, owning it. This is yours. This is your relationship with yourself, with your health, with your well-being, and with all the layers of yourself for your investment of your satisfaction, fulfillment, and a solid foundation so you can feel really great in your body and mind and emotions and across all the layers of yourself. It's a really worthwhile investment. I highly, highly recommend. I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I've been really in poor health, feeling horrible in my body, horrible in my mind, horrible in my emotional response system, horrible in my spirit, and horrible in my conscious creator self that I am. And, I know what it feels like to feel really great in those areas. And I know what it feels like to feel really not great in those areas. And oh my goodness, it is a worthwhile investment. And sometimes we're just so numb and dissociated from how not great it feels. We just assume that that's the only capacity we have. And if that's where you are, I really invite you into trying on what it might feel to feel a little bit better in your body, mind, and emotions and spirit and conscious creator self. Even just a little bit better, a little bit of a relief, just more health and well-being goes a long, long way and becomes highly motivating to take really great, loving care of yourself, and really does build and tend that supportive, nurturing, got your back, best friend relationship that you can have with yourself because you deserve it and you're worth it. And feeling fantastic across the layers of yourself, really allows you to take in life and enjoy life and live to your highest capacity and potential. I get we all deal with certain things in our life, and there will be times you will have limitations. There will be times you will be dealing with things, and taking the time to be preventative, taking the time to invest in the foundation, so worthwhile. So with that, I will leave you to the day. So thank you for taking this time to take a look at what would be of service and supportive to your health and well-being across all the layers. What would be worth it? What would make a difference? Take one or two small acts towards each layer on a regular, ongoing basis and start establishing some new, fun, beautiful, healthy, nourishing, nurturing, supportive habits that can really build a solid foundation of feeling fantastic across the layers of yourself. So go forth, be with, and enjoy. Bye for now, for the sake of ourselves.